Hi everybody, my name's Ercy and welcome to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be doing a 5-book wrap-up. I want to start a series on my channel where I'm kind of giving a short wrap-up of my thoughts on some of these books that I don't want to dedicate a full video on. There are books in the future that I do want to do that for. For some of these, I just want to talk to you guys about them and just give a short description of how I'm feeling about them. And what I want to do is, for the 5th choice, choose a book that is geared towards toddlers or towards my daughter. Just a little background, she's 2 years old and she loves her books. I want to talk about some of those books that I get for her because she is starting to develop sort of a taste for some of the things that she likes, and she is very adamant about things that she doesn't like. So I want to talk about some of those books too in these wrap-ups, because I think it's really important to kind of talk about those books as well. Enough rambling, let's just get started. The first book I want to talk about is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling, illustrated by Jim Kay. I read this back in like the 5th grade when it first, I believe it came out when I was in the 4th or 5th grade, and I read it then and I loved it. You know, I loved the movie. I think I did a reread a few years later, but you know, it's been a while. So when I was able to get this edition, and I talked about how special this edition is to me in the haul that I did where I talked about it. What's interesting is that being that I haven't read it in so long, a lot of the stuff that's coming up in this book, it hits you in a very different way. The chapters with Harry and the Dursleys are really heartbreaking because it's a full-on case of childhood neglect. It's just so sad that he was living this life where the only people that are supposed to care for him barely even acknowledge him, treat him like crap, put him under the cupboards with all the spiders, to the point where he's just very numb to them, and he's just accepting of this life where he isn't cared for or loved. But it's really good that you see this switch when Hagrid comes in and he's the first person to actually show him love. I mean, aside from when he was a baby, but from this new life, or show him this new life that he can have, this magical world where, you know, there are endless possibilities with what he can do and the things that he can learn. You're going to a school for wizards, so that's really cool. But aside from all of that, like, it's a really great story of friendship, and I love the relationships that he builds in this, especially with Ron, and how he starts to really appreciate Hermione in this book. And J.K. Rowling really did well in terms of building this magical world and being very descriptive about some of the things that go on in this world and sort of the things that you can do. But what I really love is with this edition in particular of the book, Jim Kay brought those words to life, and his paintings are gorgeous. I don't know if they're paintings or drawings or just illustrations, whatever. The pictures in this book are beautiful, they're breathtaking, and they're absolutely gorgeous. And I would recommend this edition if you're wanting to start buying the Harry Potter books, because I just think they're so beautiful. They've only come out with 4 so far. The 4th one recently got published in 2019, and I was able to snag that up too. But now we're just waiting for the new ones to come along as well. And that might be a while because I believe the last book, the 4th book, took about 2 years to create. So it might be a while before all of them are done, especially the 7th book. That 7th book is a beast of a book. But these editions are gorgeous. And you can just see from the cover the quality of the type of pictures that you're going to see in this. And they're so beautiful. Reading it as an adult now too, I have an even greater appreciation for this series, and I do want to continue rereading the other ones. I have so many books on my plate that I want to read, but I do want to get to them. I will get to them because I love those books. So Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, I love this. This is illustrated by Jim Kay, and he is very, very talented. I love this. That's book number 1. Book number 2, Where Do I Begin? Stories I Sort of Remember from a Life Lived Out Loud by Elvis Duran. I think when it comes to books written by people about their lives, I don't like biographies because I find that to be kind of a little tedious. Like, this person was born in such and such time to such and such parents, and it feels like I'm just reading a Wikipedia article. But there's an art to doing a memoir where you're sort of retelling some of the stories that these people experience. And I feel like Elvis Duran did a really great job in making this incredibly funny and informative. And you learn a lot about his character in this, and he is sort of self-depreciating in this, in terms of he's not sure of what it is that he can bring to the table in terms of this book, but the stories that he did include were really impactful, is a good word to use. Aside from that, I learned a lot about radio. Elvis Duran loves radio. Oh, and if you don't know, Elvis Duran, he's a radio host of one of the biggest shows in the country, radio shows in the country, over on Z100, or that's where he originally started, over at Z100 in New York City. And his show is called The Elvis Duran Show. I believe it was first called Elvis Duran and the Z Morning Zoo, and then they just changed it to The Elvis Duran Show. And, you know, it's morning radio show, but Elvis Duran has been in the business for years, and I really respect him, what he's done with his position. The chapter that really stuck out to me the most was the one where he spoke about 9/11 and what he had to do that day, and how he remembers Danielle, you know, one of his co-hosts, like crying, and he's able to see from out his window like everything that was happening, and what they had to do the very next 2 days, and not really sure where to take the radio show, because you have this great national tragedy, but you got to put on like this morning show where we're talking about traffic and the weather and silly stories. And I remember this happening because like I would listen to the radio all the time. And I remember hearing what happened the following day and the day after the attacks, and how they were able to help share other people's stories and their tragedies, and help bring us together in a way that was really needed at that time. Like, and aside from that story, you have stories of him meeting his fiance, well, now it's his husband, and how he was able to make this connection with him, and the love that he has for him and the people that he works with. Like, it's really, you can really feel that love that he has for them in this short book. So I really love this book. I had a really good time reading it, laugh out loud funny, like super emotional at times, and just I learned so much about radio, like the difference between AM and FM radio, and what it takes to get your signal out. Like, I learned so much that I didn't think I was going to learn, but I did. So I really like this. This is a really good little memoir. Elvis Duran, where do I begin? Stories I sort of remember from a life lived out loud. You guys should definitely read this. I really loved it. The next book I'm going to talk about is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. And so this book is a romance book. And I give this book a lot of kudos because I am not one to read romance. But this really changed my perspective. If you're able to find the right one, you can dive into a new genre and find things that you didn't think you were going to like. So that was definitely the case with this book. The Unhoneymooners follows this girl. Her name is Olive, and she's a twin. And her sister is getting married, but everyone at the wedding party gets food poisoning except for Olive and her brother-in-law's brother, who she does not like. Her sister winds up offering her to go on the honeymoon, but she has to go with the guy that she doesn't like. His name is Ethan. So it winds up being a very bantery, back and forth, really funny, fake dating, because they have to pretend that they're married while they're on this honeymoon in order to kind of reap the benefits of the honeymoon. Of course, they wind up, you know, getting romantically involved. It is a romance novel. But I loved how it was able to get there. Hello?
Hi.
Hey, what's up? All right, I'll leave at 1. You're welcome. All right, bye. So, of course, they get romantically involved because they're having to share this hotel room, this romantic vacation. They wind up learning that a lot of their relationship was built on a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings. Them being able to get over that was really, really interesting. My one thing that was really a little annoying with this book was in the beginning, her misconceptions had to do with her misconceptions having to do sort of with the way that she perceives her body. She's supposed to be a curvier girl, and she's always talking about, I love my curves, I'm curvy, I love food, I love my body. However, she keeps bringing it up like she's trying to convince herself that she loves her body, and she winds up comparing herself a lot to the people that Ethan used to date. And I know that that's sort of a natural thing for women to do. However, her restating that over and over again just made me kind of roll my eyes and kind of not believe her in terms of like loving herself and loving her body, because she was always like, yeah, I'm different from what you're used to, or he didn't like seeing me eat, or we were late because I was making sure that I was gonna get some type of food or whatever. The first time that you hear it, you're like, okay, like, I understand, like, that kind of sucks, but girl, go ahead, girl, you love your body, you're curvy. But then the second time, you're like, all right, I get it, like, you love your body. And then the third time, you're like, come on, like, I understand, stop it, like, don't convince me, convince yourself, you know? And that was the only thing that was a little annoying with this, is like it came up like 4 or 5 times, and I was just like, okay, I get it. Like, you love your body, you're curvy. Like, I'm curvy too, but I'm not over here like rubbing it in like every chance that I get, because I'm not always gonna be talking about my body. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe I'm not making sense, but that's sort of the way that I kind of took it. So it was a little annoying to read those parts, but I love the relationship between them. I loved Ethan and how straightforward he is and realistic, and he's like, get yourself together, girl, because you're not unlucky, creating this idea of yourself because of the things that you've been going through, instead of like picking yourself up from your bootstraps, you know? But other than that, I really did love it. I borrowed it from the library because I was unsure of how I was going to feel about it. But I did like it. It was good. I'd recommend it for other people to read it. If you like romance novels, it was fun. It was good. It was really slow burn, and I liked it, you know? So it was a good book. I'll try other stuff from Christina Lauren. Probably not right away, because I'm not that big of a diehard romance fan, but it was fun. I liked it. 4th book. I know I talked about this a lot already, and I promise I won't bring it up unless I get other editions or other volumes of it. But My Hero Academia by Kohei Horikoshi. So this is the first volume, and I got this at Comic-Con. And this book, it follows Izuku Midoriya. He's a normal kid in an area or in a world where the majority of the people have superpowers. And he winds up coming into superpowers by meeting his hero, All Might, who bestows upon him the gifts of his powers. So this is sort of like an origin story of Izuku Midoriya. And he wants to be the greatest hero that there's ever been. I really like this series. This is so cute. Not only do you go through everyone's different powers, and you're learning about everybody, and you're learning about how their personality shapes their powers as well, you're also learning about the institutions that are put in place in the society that is able to reflect the fact that majority of people have superpowers. Like, there's going to be a school. Like, what do kids dream about when they grow up? What kind of government institutions are in place to help combat crime? You know, it was really fun. My only con with this is that it sort of falls into this anime trap, I'm going to call it. It falls into this anime trap where when they talk about girls and their bodies, they always have to be sort of showing themselves, or, you know, big boobs and super hot skimpy clothes. And I feel like I'm coming off really conservative, and I'm not. However, this girl, this professional hero comes onto the scene, and she's like bending over in front of the cameras, and she's like, you know, I'm here, and like bending over to show the camera, like grab attention through her body. But, you know, then she then she beats the criminals. So I don't know if it's sort of like using your assets to grab attention and then doing what you're supposed to do, but it just kind of caught me off guard in the beginning. It's hard to explain myself. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, I get it. This is sort of a thing that comes up a lot in anime, but they do address it in future books. So I do like that. So it kind of helps redeem itself from that, and not like, it's sort of like they're acknowledging that anime trap and finding a way to kind of overcome it, and that makes it more understanding. But I did like this. I do like this series. I love this book. I read the first and the second one, and I haven't gotten the third one yet, but I will in the future. I don't know when, but I will. And I really like this. This is a really cute, fun book, and Izuku Midori is so determined to become a hero, and I love it. So, yep, that's My Hero Academia Volume 1 by Kohei Horikoshi. Last book, and this is the one where, even though I'm lumping it all together, but it's 4 separate books, but it's 4 in a series that comes out. And so these are sort of a scientific field for babies, right? So, and they're all by Chris Ferrie. So we have quantum physics for babies, general relativity for babies, rocket science for babies, and Newtonian physics for babies. All by Chris Ferrie. And I really like these, and my daughter really likes these. It really simplifies these huge scientific theories and fields in a way that is fun and cute. And even though they're not, I mean, I know that this is something that she'll probably learn more about in junior high, high school, college. I really like that it's able to give her sort of vocabulary words and a vision of some of the things that explains the world around us, you know? They use really simple illustrations like, this is a ball. And so my daughter, she'll look at this and I'm like, what is this? And she'll say ball. And I'll say, that's right. This is a ball. And then the next page it says, you know, this ball feels the force of gravity. And you see an arrow pulling it down. And then the force of gravity is highlighted in a different color to show that it's sort of like your vocabulary word. And it just goes through and sort of gives a very simplified explanation of the different topics that each book addresses. They're colorful, they're simple. It helps sort of give a basic understanding of some of these vocabulary words that, you know, you want them to start learning. This is the one that she pulls for the most when I ask her to get a book. She'll often grab for this one in particular because I think she likes to see the warped space and the ball's impact on space and stuff. So she pulls for this one a lot. Even though it's a big subject, you're able to introduce them to your kids so that way when the time comes for them to learn about it in depth, maybe they'll remember this or have sort of an understanding or sort of, you know, maybe they don't get anything out of it, but it's the fact that you're able to read these kind of concepts to your kids without having to get lost in like a big old textbook or something. You know, you have something very simple, and I really like this. I might get more in this series, who knows? There's plenty of books out there for kids, so I have 4 of them, and she really likes them. You know, she'll say mass, space, and start learning these words. So am I going to be teaching my kid, my 2-year-old, rocket science and general relativity? Yes, I am. And I will. And I have. So there's that. I really like these. So that's it for today's video on my 5-book wrap-up. And it wound up being sort of 8 books, but 5, sort of. Thank you all for watching today's video, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. I hope you consider subscribing to my channel and follow me along on Goodreads. I'll leave my account listed down below along with information on all of these books. And I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.